Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area Public Schools Trust. First order of business to approve the minutes of the August 22nd meeting, and I would recognize a motion to that effect.
So moved.
This motion, is there a second? Second. Motion and second. We'll vote. Passes. We got financial reports. Mr. Winger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have financial reports for June 2011 for your consideration. Some of the items that I'll bring to your attention, we do have an adjustment in the interest amount that's a negative interest. This is part of accounting services adjustment, and so some of the details on that are some of the items that we've discussed previously. This would have to do with interest postings and corrections that are made by the tax commission that we receive after the fact. And so in this case, this is a negative interest posting of $11,000. You'll also notice that there's a significant revenue this month, up more than $1 million. There's approximately $940,000 of that is a reimbursement from the school district for some work that was completed early in the program regarding Telstar, Ridgeview, and Willowbrook. These were some technology expenses that were inadvertently spent from sales tax funds. Since those schools are not attended by city resident students, we needed that reimbursement to keep the sales tax whole. And so those monies are still going to be within the MAPS program. They're just going to be spent on bond-funded schools. And so this is a correction to take that into account. Can you answer any questions that you have about the revenue and obligation report?
Need to approve this report. I recognize a motion to that effect. So moved. Then moves, there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next, we'll talk about the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area Public Schools Trust payments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You do have the reports for both the sales tax and the bond, and if you were to total those two together, you'll see that for the payment period August 10th through September 15th, more than $10 million was expended as a part of the Maps for Kids projects. So I bring that to your attention just to show the amount of construction that's underway at schools throughout Oklahoma City.
Any questions? Seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to ratify these payments.
I'll make that motion.
Been moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Now being asked to approve the final plans and specifications for Capitol Hill Elementary School and authorize the Secretary to advertise for bids to be received October 25th, 2011, Project ES66. We have a presentation, it looks like.
We do. I'd like to invite Ryan Escherman with Glover Smith Bodie, who is our architect of record, to make that presentation and answer any questions that you might have.
Good afternoon. I will be very brief. Please interrupt me with any questions you have. Capitol Hill is a three-story school built in the 1920s. It's being designed to accommodate 707 students. Their demographics are being altered because of the introduction of Cesar Chavez, so we are addressing that student population and in making improvements commensurate with other school renovation projects throughout the program. The main issues that we're trying to resolve in terms of the site, difficult to find the front door, very congested city streets for loading and unloading of students. Again, making improvements related to accessibility, access, life safety, many of the issues that are commonly addressed. The facility itself is going to require removal of a secondary gym. There are two gyms on the property, one of which has a termite problem and is not used, and so we're removing that to free up some site. We're bringing parking and circulation onto the site and creating a new front door on the west face of the building. So instead of doing like me when you first arrive and driving around the block 2 times to figure out where the door is and where to park, we're going to have a clear entrance on the west with some visitor and handicap parking, modify the playground, remove some existing blacktop and make improvements there, enhance the school bus loop. So we should dramatically reduce the congestion on city streets due to loading and unloading, get the buses off of Robinson where they're currently loading. The school itself, plenty of space. As I mentioned, we're removing area rather than adding it. But we are providing some amenities that have been lacking. The library in this school for 60 years has been converted classrooms, so we're creating a real media center in an abandoned swimming pool area, creating a new office suite immediately at the entrance, so you don't have to wander through the building to try to find the front office. So we're making some meaningful improvements in the amenities and the facilities within that building. And I won't go into the details of all those spaces. This is the new west entrance. It was important that it was comparable to the existing school design, and we addressed that the history of the building. So when you arrive from the west and park, this is the entrance that will greet you, and the office, as I mentioned, is immediately inside. Color palette, which addresses the, sorry, it's difficult to see on the screen here, but addresses the existing brickwork that lines the school and the other school colors that are within the facility. So upgrading all of those finishes, carpeting, tile where it's being replaced. We're in September. We're submitting our final plans, ready to go out to bid, so you can see our anticipated schedule before you. And the cost, the final cost at the last cost estimate was 6.2. The MAP's budget for this is 5.9, almost 6. We were instructed to insert these. Actually, we now have 5 alternates. We have these 4, plus we've added one for a sewer line, which is located underneath the building, an old clay tile sewer line. No problems as of yet, but due to the age of that and the fact that it's under the building, there was a recommendation to add an alternate to investigate and do a potential sleeving of that line to prevent any future leaks. So there's a 5th alternate for that work. But you can see the other items, some millwork, some restriping, some shelving items, and an elective water repellent for the exterior brickwork. So that's where we stand financially at the end of the project, ready to go out to bid, pending your approval. I welcome any questions that you have about the project thus far.
Are there questions? Anthony?
Will there be any signage? The majority of the traffic is still on Robinson, and will there be any signage to direct them to enter on the west?
We have not anticipated, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ted, we have not anticipated any street signage. Actually, the present loading is on, I believe it's 25th, on the north edge of the school. The only thing that happens on Robinson is all the school buses stop in traffic there and unload, and we are removing them. So as people drive by on Robinson and see the historic entrance of the school, as they drive around the block, they should very clearly see the entrance on the west side of the building. So we think visually we'll have addressed that, but there's no street signage per se to direct them there.
Thank you.
Question?
Yes, Valerie.
So if I'm reading this right, we're $250,000 over budget
That is correct at this point,
without the alternates.
without the alternates.
Are we okay with contingency on this?
We do have contingencies budgeted as a part of the project, so we would be fine.
Other questions? Seeing none, I recognize a motion to approve these final plans and specifications.
I'll make that motion.
It's moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Thank you. We're now being asked to approve the amended program implementation plan, September 2011 version.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have not amended the implementation plan since July of 2010. The one that is in your packet today will actually serve as the 10th amendment since we started with the first adoption in 2002. There are several projects that are affected. It affects the budgets of 20 or more projects. It closes out 6 projects. There's an early fire alarm that is added that includes several schools. There's also Adams Roofing, which was not included as a part of the original construction, that's also a part of the amendment. And overall, it's more than a $17 million increase to the total plan cost. We still are maintaining adequate contingency that will be $4.3 million. We have very few projects remaining to be bid. There's less than 10 as we sit today. And with that, we've continued to make these similar adjustments. The adjustments also include contingencies for projects that have either been adjusted, like the presentation today, that have come in with bids higher than expected, and replenishing the contingencies for change orders. And so we believe that the program is whole, and we're actually recommending that we move forward with the amendment as proposed. And I can answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the amended program implementation plan?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Thank you. Next item, we've got several contracts and contract amendments. First is to approve amendment number 1 to the contract for the OC Maps Program Consultant Services with Architectural Design Group, Inc., an increase of $1,346,760.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an amendment that the purpose is to extend ADG services from the time that the Maps for Kids projects are complete through the time that the 2007 bond issue projects are complete. There's about a 2-year difference in time, so we're expecting to complete all of the Maps for Kids work in fiscal year 13. You'll see that the bond issue work is extending through June of 2015. So we've worked with ADG to negotiate an amendment that provides continued plan review services, cost estimate services, construction oversight for those projects using the same standards and the same procedures that we've used on Maps for Kids. And the total amendment has already been included as a part of the contingency that I previously addressed at $4.3 million. So this is being paid for out of the project costs from the ID9 schools. So this is at no additional cost to the program. It's being budgeted as part of that program to pay for those bond issue services. And with that, I can answer any questions that you might have.
Questions? Is there a motion for approval? So moved. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Still in business, Mr. Mize. Next item, ratify the issuance of and approve addenda numbers 1 and 2 for West Nichols Hills Elementary School, award the contract, base bid plus alternate number 2, and accept unit price of $73 per foot for additional pier length to J.L. Walker Construction, Inc. for $3,690,000 and approve contract and bonds, project ES 56.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did have 9 bidders that submitted bids on August the 16th. Again, a good response to, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong item. We had 5 bidders on August the 30th. This was a rebid of the West Nichols Hills project, if you recall, that was bid and was about $1.1 million over that budget. With this, the low bid did come in over the budget, but it came in over the budget by the amount that the architect came back to us and presented at the final plan stages. They had estimated the cost to be $3.6 million, and the base bid was $3,640,000. With that, we were anticipating the project to be over. Contingency funds are available, and we're now ready to proceed with the recommendation to award this contract.
And if I remember correctly, a significant portion of this was to deal with some streets and issues relative to parking and so forth with Nichols Hills and things?
There is some work in the project included to help better the traffic flow around the site. The cost difference that we saw had more to do with some bids that we received on mechanical and electrical and some of the other trades that we were just seeing higher than normal costs. And so some of the things that they were able to do is go back and respecify some of the equipment, do some more renovation as opposed to new construction in certain areas, including rebuilding some of the mechanical gear. But with that, it does include traffic improvements as well.
Okay. Are there any questions? Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item is a resolution ratifying the issuance of and approving addendum number 1, extending the time to awarding the contract, base bid plus alternates 1 and 2 to J.L. Walker Construction, Inc. for Hayes Elementary School in an amount of $4,083,000 and approving contracts and bonds, project ES 62.
Thank you. We had 9 bidders on this particular project, and the bids, of course, were received on August 16th. Low bid was just slightly above the construction budget by $224,000. Again, contingency funds are available, and we are recommending approval.
Questions? I'd like to have a motion for approval.
Move approval.
Then moves or second? Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item is a resolution ratifying the issuance of and approving addendum number 1, extending the time to awarding the contract, base bid only to Gail Armstrong Construction, Inc. for Columbus at Jackson School in an amount of $5,444,000 and approving contract and bonds, project ES 67.
Thank you. There were 6 bidders on the project, and again, we're continuing to see a close proximity of bid totals. If you look at the spread, it's quite close when you look from bottom to top. $286,000 over the program budget. There are contingency funds available, and again, we are recommending approval of this contract.
Questions? Recognize a motion for approval.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We now have a series of change orders First is to recommend to the Board of Education of Independent School District Number 89, we approve change order number 8 for Classen School of Advanced Studies, an increase of $71,276, project EB14.
Thank you. There's considerable work at Classen. Obviously, this is the project that we had the most phases. It's 85% complete to date. There are actually 27 items taking care of various issues that were experienced in the field. Those include, like items number 1, some sewer line replacement in the amount of $10,344. You'll look through the list, you'll see there's other items including flooring replacements and valve replacements and support systems. You'll see additional millwork, you'll see additional sheetrock as we go through those items into page 2. Again, these are all items as a part of renovation that are just necessary to complete construction. Total cost is $71,276. It's 49 additional days. Contingency funds are available, and we are recommending approval.
Questions? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item is to recommend the Board of Education of Independent School District Number 89 approve change order number 5 for Johnston Elementary School, increase of $16,799, project EB20.
Thank you. You'll find 11 items on this particular change order. You'll actually find 2 credit items, item number 2 and item number 10. The others are cost. The project's nearly complete. It's about 95% to date, and we're expecting work to finish in the near future. Can answer any questions you have regarding the change order, and we are recommending approval.
Questions? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item is to approve change order number 8 for Fillmore Elementary School, an increase of $71,263, project ES33.
There's a single item for your consideration today on Fillmore. It is some millwork replacement at $71,000. It's a 95% complete project. We do have contingency funds available. This would improve the existing millwork to a point where we don't believe that there are other outstanding items on the project, so we are recommending approval of this item at this time.
Questions? Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next change order, approve change order number 6 for Shidler Elementary School, no increase, project ES38.
Thank you. This just adjusts the total working days on the project. We normally would address these month to month, but as you look in the summary, there's a total of 103 days being added, predominantly due to weather-related delays, submittal reviews that were extra time that was needed by the architect or our office to complete. And there was also a modification to a grease trap and some kitchen modifications that took longer than anticipated. This item incorporates all those, and we are recommending approval.
Are there any questions? I recognize the motion for approval.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item, approve change order number 4 for Nichols Hills Elementary School, increase of $54,979, project ES39.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This project's been complete for some time, and this, we believe, would be one of the final change order for the project. There's 46 additional days. There's 8 items that are included on the list. Total changes, including this change order, are 5.1%. We recommend approval.
Questions? Is there a motion for approval? So moved. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item is to approve change order number 1 for Belle Isle Middle School, increase of $9,271.28, project ES48.
Project's actually 35% complete, and this is our first change order. You'll notice there are 5 items that are included for your consideration. This will increase the total changes to just 0.2% on the project. Most significant are the gas line relocation and the cafeteria ceiling modifications, 1 and 2. There's also nearly a $10,000 credit on some restroom modifications in item number 4. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions? Recognize the motion for approval.
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item is approve change order number 2 for Buchanan Elementary School, increase of $72,794, project ES49.
Work is nearly 80% complete. You'll find 5 items on the change order today for your consideration. The most significant is item number 1, which you'll see is $60,708 for millwork replacement. Much like Fillmore, the project is progressed very well. Total changes, including this change order, will be at 2.7%. We recommend approval.
Questions? Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item is to approve change order number 1 for Oak Ridge Elementary School, increase of $12,531, project ES 53.
3 items for your consideration. This is a $12,531 change order. You'll notice that item number 2 is a credit. The other 2 items, temporary classrooms and a gas line relocation, are at an added cost. Work is about 40% complete. Total change orders, including this one, are less than 0.5%, and we are recommending approval.
Are there questions? Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Final change order is to approve change order number 4 for Northwest Classen High School, increase of $85,432, project ES 78.
There's 10 items included and also 10 days as a part of the changes that are proposed. Item number 3, plaster repairs, and item number 4, sewer line revisions, are 2 of the more significant. There's a couple items on page 2, items 6 and 10, plumbing replacements, and then the addition of a circulation desk that will ensure its accessibility. Total changes, including this, is 3.8% on the project, and again, at 80% complete, we are recommending approval.
Questions?
We're about 80% complete at Northwest Classen.
Questions? Other questions? Is there a motion for approval? So moved. Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next, we're being asked to approve the expenditure of funds for the purchase of furniture, fixtures, and equipment for Prairie Queen Elementary School, not to exceed $90,000, project ES 54.
We've seen these as we get ready to open new schools, and the item that you have before you at $90,000 exceeds the PIP furniture budget by just under $2,000. We go through a detailed analysis looking at the school, the existing furniture. We use it against the furniture standard that was adopted, so the furniture being requested is what's required at that school, and we are recommending approval.
Questions? Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Now being asked to accept the Hillcrest Elementary School project and place the maintenance bond into effect, project ES 43.
We have completed the work at Hillcrest. The final inspections were completed on July 22nd, 2011 of this year. We have the final construction claim, we have the final construction cost of $3.4 million, and we are recommending acceptance.
Questions? Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Mr. Winger, standing in for Mr. Couch.
We obviously, construction, as I mentioned, is proceeding very quickly on many schools. We have over 20 schools still at an active construction stage, but many of those are in the 95% range and should be seeking substantial completion in the near future. We have attached, as a part of ADG's report in the informational items, the status of each of the projects, and so you'll see that the list is no longer growing in length. It's actually starting to shrink, and so we're down to 1 page on the sales tax projects, and you'll see that there's just a few items that are included in the bond projects. Bidding is continuing to proceed. I would not say it's on a weekly basis, but we do have about 10 schools remaining. That would also include the downtown elementary. So actively we'll be going through each week or every other week or so through the fall, bidding those projects so that by early next year, all work will be in construction. Again, except for that downtown school. So from a program standpoint, things look very good moving forward. The contingency is strong. The process, the policy, the procedures are all in place to ensure a successful completion of Maps for Kids. I've contacted each of you before the meeting today, and it's unfortunate for me to make this announcement, but we lost a longtime city staff member this weekend, passed away, Mark Carlton, who was actually going to have his first meeting today as program manager for Maps for Kids, and so it's with my sorrow that I make that announcement to you. We obviously have a well-seasoned staff in the MAPS office that will be able to pick up the work and keep moving forward, but we have some things that we clearly are going to have to address as we look to manage through the next couple of years as we finish MAPS for Kids and of course, the bond issue. But as somebody that I worked with closely for a very long time, somebody that I worked with on the original MAPS, through MAPS for Kids, and then also Mark was very instrumental in setting up the processes that we're also using on MAPS 3. He's going to be greatly missed. And so I offer, of course, your thoughts and your prayers to the family, but we will miss Mark.
Thank you. Our condolences. Does that complete your report?
I don't have anything on.
Are there any
Thank you.
comments by trustees?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Fred.
If I may, when the reports are given and the percentage of completion is given, if you could also give a target date of completion.
I'd be happy to make sure that that's part of future reports. Yes, thank you.
Other comments by trustees? Staff? Citizens? Thank you for coming today. We're adjourned.